Okay, this would be your Chapter 6 review. I'm going to go for about 15 minutes and I'll do as many problems as I can in 15 minutes. First thing I want to say is that just like your reference sheet, on this test you will be given two equations. I will give you this equation and I will give you this equation. So I would suggest that you make sure you have a couple other equations in your head, and I'll just tell you what they are. Another equation for the arithmetic that you want to have available to you is this, that you can figure out any term in a sequence if you know the first term plus n minus 1 times the common difference. Basically it just says if you know what the first term is, and to that you add one less than the position you want to get to times the common difference. You can find anything you want. And similar to that, then on a geometric, if you want to find any term, as long as you know what the first term is and you continuously multiply by your common ratio one less time than the position you want to get to, you can find any term in the sequence. And then the other thing we've more recently been talking about is if r is a fraction and you're asked to figure out the sum when it's going to infinity, you're going to add everything to infinity. Then we learned that there's another equation which you can quickly figure out from this. A sub 1 minus a sub 1 r to the n all over 1 minus r, and we talked about the fact if r is a fraction going to infinity, that term goes away. And so in the end, the equation is s sub n is equal to a sub 1 over 1 minus r. So either you can get it from the equation I give you, or you memorize that. Okay, so now I am going to do some problems. So we'll start easy. Say you are asked to write the first 6 terms, and I'm going to give you two different sequences. And I would suggest after I give you the problem, if you want, you could pause it, try it, and then see what I do. So say you are given a sequence where you're told that a sub 1 is negative 5 and d is 3. So then hopefully when you see d you realize that's a common difference and you realize you're going to add. So first 6 terms, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. First term's negative 5. When I see a common difference of 3, it means I'm going to continuously add 3. So negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2, plus 3 is 1, plus 3 is 4, plus 3 is 7, plus 3 is 10. Done. Okay, along the same lines, if instead you were told that the first term is 1 and r is equal to 2, hopefully you realize you have a geometric sequence on your hands. Since we have a common ratio, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's a 1, and now I'm going to continuously multiply by 2. 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 16 times 2 is 32. That's it. Okay, another one. Say you are given something like this, 12, 11, 10, 9, dot, dot, dot. And you are asked to write a recursive formula for the sequence. You need to understand what a recursive formula is. So basically a recursive formula is a formula that describes the position, what is in a position, totally based on what came before it. So in this particular case then, you would say, well, I can go to any position, say this one, it doesn't really matter, and if I just know what came before it, so that would be a sub n minus 1, as in 1 before the position. Well, I look here and I say, well, what's happening? Oh, I'm just continuously subtracting 1. So I just throw down a minus 1. That is what we call recursive. Now, you also may just be asked, hey, is this an arithmetic sequence or is this geometric? So you should be able to identify what type of sequences you have. And hopefully you realize that in this particular case, this problem, we are continuously subtracting 1, which is like adding a negative 1. So this is an arithmetic sequence. Okay. You may also be asked to write a sub n in explicit form or general form. And what that is saying is write some equation that I can figure out what the 253rd term is, for instance. So in order to do that, I am going to take this out of my brain. This is not given to you. Now I know it's an arithmetic sequence, so I can find any term if I know what the first term is, and I add one less than the term I care about times the common difference. So if I want to make an equation that can get me to any term, all I'm going to do is I'm going to write my first term, which in this particular case is 12, plus I'm going to keep my n as it is because I want to be able to sub into that. And then up here I notice that my common difference is negative 1. And if I ever don't know what it is, I can just pick a term and subtract the term behind it. So 9 minus 10 is a negative 1. So I'm going to come back down here then, I'm going to put a negative 1 in, and then I'm going to clean it up. So I have 12, and if it's more comfortable, put the negative 1 out front, if that helps you. Plus, negative 1 times an n is a negative n, and a negative 1 times a negative 1 is a positive 1. So I have, I'll just clean this up, 12 minus n plus 1. So I have a 12 and a 1, that's a 13 minus n. So I should be able to get to any term by doing 13 minus n, and I might want to just check it. So the first term, I would put a 1 in here. So 13 minus 1 is 12, which works. And then if I go to my second term, I'd put a 2 in there. And sure enough, if I put a 2 in, 13 minus 2 is 11, which you see up here. So that works. So you should be able to write a general form, also called explicit form. And then once you get that equation, you should be able to find any term you're asked to find. So say you're asked to find, it doesn't really matter, find the 10th term. So then basically a sub 10 is equal to 13 minus 10, and that is equal to 3. Okay, another problem. Given 4 plus 6 is 8 plus 10 plus 12 plus 14. Write in sigma notation. So as I have said before, if I get a problem like that, it's part of it is about knowing what the heck sigma notation is. So I would do this first. And then I would set up my counter, and I would know how many places I need to count to, how many things need to be spit out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things need to be spit out. So now I just need the equation that's going to spit those things out. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to write this relationship. Now I'm assuming this is arithmetic. Let me see if that's the case. I notice to get from 4 to 6 I add 2, 6 to 8 I add 2, 8 to 10 I add 2. Yep. Common difference is 2. It is arithmetic. So my first number is a 4. I want to leave that n sitting there so it will function in my machine times my common difference, which is 2. And I'm going to just clean that up. I'll put the 2 out here. So I have 4 plus 2n minus 2 when I distribute my 2, which then is equal to 2n, and I have a 4 minus 2, so 2n plus 2. Remember, it is not correct without those parentheses. Okay, another one. Say I was asked to write summation n equals 1 to 4 of 1 over n squared as a sum of terms and find the sum. So basically, I'm just going to fire up my machine. So this is equal to First the 1 goes in, so 1 over 1 squared. Plus, I count my integers. 1 over, now my n's going to go to a 2 squared. Plus 1 over, I'm going up to 3 squared. Plus 1 over, I'm going up to 4 squared, and I see that's my endpoint, so I stop. So to write this as a sum of terms, I would just clean this up probably and write 1 plus 1/4 plus 1/9 plus 1/16. And then it asks you to find the sum, which you can just use your calculator. Comes out to be 205 over 144, I do believe, as a simplified fraction. Okay, continuing on here. Number 5. Say you are given a sub 1 is equal to 10, d is equal to 5, and you're told that a sub n is equal to 5,000. And your job is to find n. So you want to know what position the 5,000 is sitting in. So now the fact that you see d equals 5, it means that we have an arithmetic sequence here. So you know what's in the first position, but knowing you're only counting going up by 5, it would be crazy to try to figure out all the terms till you get to the 5,000. So this is another situation where just knowing this equation will allow you to figure out whatever you need to figure out. So if a sub n is 5,000, I'm going to put that right here. If I know that my first thing in my first position is a 10 plus n minus 1, I don't know n, and I do know my common difference is 5. Basically, it's just an algebra problem, so you just need to solve that. So I'm going to do basically the same thing I've been doing. Put the 5 out front here. I think it's sometimes easier to think about distributing. So I get 5,000 is equal to 5n minus 5 plus 10 is plus 5. So 5n then is equal to 4995, and then when I divide that out, I get 999th position. Okay, here's another one. Find 8 arithmetic means between 2 and 101. So once again, this is about vocabulary in some respects, because you need to understand what does this mean if you're asked for arithmetic means. And so basically what it means is we have an arithmetic sequence and we want to know what's between 2 and 101. And we have 8 positions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and we have a 101 right here. So, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this equation. A sub n is equal to a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times the common difference, because I want to figure out what the common difference is, because then I can fill in all my blanks. So I have a number that I know out here, and that number is 101. I have a number here, which is in the first position, which is a 2. Now, if I just know what position that's in, so this is the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th position, I know it took me 9 steps to get there, and I can write myself a little equation. So now solving this, I get 9d is equal to 101 minus 2, which is 99, and I can quickly figure out my common difference is 11, which then allows me to fill in all my blanks. So 2 plus 11 is 13, plus 11 is 24, plus 11 is 35, plus 11 is 46, 57, 68, 79, 90, and sure enough, when I add 11, I get 101. Just checking my time. Okay, I'm going to do one, and then I think I'm going to stop this video, and then I'll do a second video. Just just to not use too much time up here. So say you are told that you have a geometric sequence, and you're told that a sub 1 is equal to 100 and a sub 2 is equal to 50. And you're supposed to write the first 5 terms, so this one's not too hard. Write first 5 terms. So we know we have 100, we know we have a 50, and we need to fill in these 3 blanks. So really the main thing is understanding that if it's a geometric sequence, we are looking for division or multiplication basically. So to get from 100 to 50, we are dividing by 2, also known as multiplying by a half. Remember, for as for the common ratio, we want to give it in terms of multiplication, not division. And so knowing that, then we can just march on down. So 50 divided by 2 is 25. 25 divided by 2 is 12 and a half. 12 and a half divided by 2 is 6 1/4. Okay, I'm going to call that end of my part 1 of review, and I'll come back with a second part and do a couple more problems for you.